On the 01 today, we're gonna be putting in a new crank seal. And so I picked up a crank seal, and actually I got two of them because they were fairly inexpensive, and I didn't wanna, I've never done one before, so I wanted to have backup just in case. But what I wanted to show you was the seal tool for driving it in. And so this I picked up as a set. It came with this tool, which puts the sleeve onto the crank, and this tool works great. I'll show you that. All right, so this is the reason that I ordered the sleeve kit. It's for the crankshaft. So this little guy goes right over my crank, and then that tool pushes it on, and now I have a nice flat surface. So the surface that's there now, I can definitely feel the groove in them. And so these, I think would fail eventually. You can see I had definitely some oil dripping off the front of the motor. So the first thing I did is I just took a little bit of brake clean, cleaned the inner and outer of this, and made sure that my crank was nice and clean. You are supposed to put these on dry, not with any kind of lubricant to help them slide on. So there, we'll get it started. Now let's install the tool. With the wear sleeve just installed lightly on, I've got the bolts started. Uses a 10mm Allen for that, so we'll just kind of get each one of these snugged up, and then we're going to just take them in nice and slowly, a little at a time until they bottom out. Once they bottom out, we know that it's in all the way. And one thing, I did pull the radiator out just to make all of this easier. I wanted to be able to get in there and clean things up a little bit, and as you might see in one of the other videos, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on at once on this truck. So I'm kind of trying to watch where the wear grooves were on the crank as I go in, just so I can kind of keep it going pretty straight. Got it started pretty good, but it does seem like it's going on just a little bit sideways on me, so I'm going to just turn to the next set of bolts and keep going. All right, that's it, it's tight. But now back to this tool. So this tool right here, here is the crank seal that was in my truck. And if you take that, you put it on, you can see that that tool works really nice. It fits just the way it's supposed to. Now you take the new seal right there, and it does not. Why? Why doesn't it fit? First I thought, cheap junk, why did I buy it? But then I realized that there's two different types of seals. So here is the original seal. You can see right there, it has just basically a straight up and down side, whereas the new seal, this seal that I picked up, has this little tiny edge made into it from the other side. So they basically just kind of came up and bent that around, probably to make it a little bit stronger, a little bit better. So that is the first thing. If you're going to buy one of these tools, make sure you know which seal you have. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try to take and turn this down. And by turn, I mean I'm going to use a flat file because number one, my mill isn't done and I don't have a lathe. So I'm just going to take a flat file because it is very close to being the right size. So I'm just going to take my flat file, work it around, see if I can take some of that material off to make it work on this seal. All right, probably about an hour with the file, but after that, seal drops on nicely, pulls off nicely. Now, I may have used the screwdriver, a pinch of this material off. I'm sure that I probably did, but since I'm also going to use this with this for the depth gauge, I'll put my depth gauge in. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to take my depth gauge and I'm going to actually put it into the housing. Then, even if I took a little bit of that shoulder off right there, my seal will still stop where it needs to. So we're going to use a sacrificial seal here and we're going to try it out and see how it works. So there it is in. Let me get you set up so you can watch. All right, here we go. I'm going to get a bigger hammer. It looks like it's sitting pretty good. Flip this back over now. All right, I think it's going to work. All right, well, here we go with the new seal. So everything is just how it came out of the packaging. There's the old seal. And it fits on there nicely now with all the filing done. So now I'm just gonna take and put a little bit of my same material I'm gonna use to seal the pan. Just gonna put a little dab. They do say that if it's got this red coating on it, you don't have to do that. But I figure with just a little bit in there, as the seal goes in, it'll pick that little bit up and get it into every little crack. Why risk having it leak around the seal just because I deleted that step? All right, I think that's in. Well, got the surface all cleaned up. There's just a little bit of residue in a few spots. We'll get a little bit more out of that out of the way. I just shoved a screwdriver in there to keep this harness from wanting to flop back down. But just a quick wipe with some cleaner. It'll be time to put this back together. All right, I got the timing cover back on. I let my sealant dry up for about a day. Went through, torqued these bolts. Basically 18 to 24 on these 10 mil bolts, all of these. So anything that's 10 mil should be able to fall in that. Double check yourself though, by all means, please. I did want to show you this. So here, this is that little piece of plastic that makes it so you can slide your seal over your crankcase, or your crankshaft, excuse me. So basically it's gonna just be sticking out a little ways. Just lightly pull it to get it the rest of the way out. But then also there's that new wear sleeve on the crank, and you can just see that the seal rides just inside of that, just a little ways. And so I'm real happy with how my seal came out. On to the next part. So this right here is the main reason I started all of this project on the front end of the truck. So here's my new one. This is a Dorman. Picked it up on Amazon. It had pretty good reviews. It seemed like across the board, you know, for the most part, it was pretty good. So there's the new one. Here's the old one, which you can see right there. The rubber is only left in this half. This half is all gone. This thing was wobbling on when the engine would run, and I could actually hear my belt tensioner going click, 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 click. So if you got a clicking noise under the hood, it could be your harmonic dampeners going, which means, look at that. You can see how much it's off from side to side, and you can even see the wear on the pulley. So this will be next, sticking this on, pretty straightforward. 92 foot-pounds, I think is what it is on the 4 bolts that hold that on. There's no indexing it or anything. You just put it on with whatever 4 bolts line up first. Hopefully Gates still makes a good belt. So this is the one we're putting on the 01. All right, to get my torque on these, which is 92, I took my little crow foot, stuck it right in there, and just gave it just a little bit of down pressure between the 2 pulleys, and I was able to torque it no problem. All right, so everything that you saw that I used on this, there's links in the description for it. So check them out and do your research, see if it's stuff you want to use. As far as this tool set goes, this is another one of those crank savers that came with the sacrificial seal that I tried first. You know, it worked perfectly. It set it just where it was supposed to. I'm going to say this is a good tool right out of the box. This one, you saw I had to modify it. So I'm going to leave that one up to you whether or not it's worth buying. The set was 40 bucks. Some of the other websites get a lot more for just this tool. And just double check what seal you have. You know, this thing may have worked right out of the box if I had a different type of seal. So I'm going to put some miles on this old truck. Like I said, been putting a lot of stuff into it. And I'll let you know how everything holds up in a future video.